Hello friends, നമ്മൾ ഇന്നൊരു സ്പീക്കിങ്ങിൻ്റെ വീഡിയോ ആണ് ഇടുന്നത്. സോ ഞാൻ കുറച്ച് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് മാത്രമേ നമ്മൾ ഇന്ന് ഫോക്കസ് ചെയ്യുന്നുള്ളൂ. സോ ലെറ്റ്സ് ലുക്ക് അറ്റ് ദ ഫസ്റ്റ് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ. വാട്ട് ഈസ് യുവർ ഫേവറേറ്റ് മീൽ? ബ്രേക്ക്ഫാസ്റ്റ്, ലഞ്ച് ഓർ ഡിന്നർ, ആൻഡ് വൈ? For me, my favorite meal would be definitely breakfast, and I like to have a heavy breakfast because that gives me the energy that I need for the entire day. Next question. How important do you think it is to have 3 meals a day? Now, I don't think it is essential to really have 3 meals a day, but for a person who is just maybe traveling or they're working and they're not able to really focus on what they are having, they might need to have 3 meals. But for a person like me who eats a king-sized breakfast, I focus on a prince kind of lunch, and when it comes to dinner, almost like a pooper or like a beggar, because then there is no need to eat so much because I already have sufficient food. So it's not really necessary to have 3 meals a day. Who do you think enjoys cooking more, older or younger people? Now, when it comes to cooking, I think it's either based on interest or it's based on a person's responsibility. So if you are the person that has to take care of your kids and family, naturally you'll have to cook whether you be young or old. But what I feel is that when it comes to cooking, older people tend to focus more on traditional meals, whereas youngsters these days are also passionate about cooking, and they use YouTube and they find new recipes and they like to cook as well. So it depends on a person's interest completely. Our cue card topic here today is talk about a wedding that you have been to. So where, when, who you met there, and explain why it is important to you. So I'm going to time myself for 2 minutes and I'm going to talk about this. I think the wedding that I've been to is like in 2018, before Easter somewhere. I honestly don't like going to weddings or such kind of gatherings because I end up seeing a lot of relatives and neighbors and people that I really don't want to see. But I had gone to this wedding. It's not my relative's wedding or anything. It's just a friend's actually daughter's wedding, and we just went for that wedding because we were invited and had no choice to escape from that wedding. So I met a lot of my neighbors and people from my locality, and this wedding took place in Pudupalli Church. That was the venue, and of course when it came to the reception, again Pudupalli Church Hall, and it was a grand reception. I didn't spend much time inside the church. I just just saw everything inside, and then I was basically standing outside the church because it tends to get really hot and stuffy when a lot of people are inside the church. So I was basically standing outside, and then for the reception I felt the food is really good because they had a variety of dishes available, from starters to main course, and it was fancy. They even had pasta and variety of salads and music, entertainment, all these were there available. And why this wedding is important to me? It is not at all important to me. As I mentioned earlier, it is not my relative's wedding or even my husband's side relative's wedding. It is just a wedding that we were invited to, and we had no choice but to attend. So we attended the wedding, and it was not something that I would complain about because it was kind of comfortable because they had everything air conditioned, so it was not hot and sweaty like most of the weddings that we have in our locality, and there was no rush. So that is the best part about the wedding. Now I spoke for 2 minutes, and that's about it. Now third part questions. What is the best age for a person to get married? Now third part question, so you need to really elaborate your answer with examples. So for me, I don't think there is a particular age for a person to get married. I know we are from a society where girls used to get married like before the age of 22, 23, and boys even like about 26, 27. But this concept has changed completely, because we don't actually have a particular age to get married anymore, and people tend to get married when they feel like they are ready to accept a partner into their life. And what I'm saying around now is that first they complete their education, they get a good job, they settle, they get maybe the house, a car, and they're well settled in life. Whether it be the man or the woman, they settle themselves well in life, and then they feel like they need a person, they need a family, so then they get married. So that should be the age for a person to get married. I don't think we should have a particular fixed age, because there's no such thing. It's all based on a person. And my advice to you, most of the students that are watching, is like, get married when you feel like you want to get married, not when society expects you to get married. The next question here is like, what kind of things should young people do before they get married? That's an interesting question, right? Because for me, I personally feel like you should just go wild. You should just go wild and enjoy your life. Do all the things that you've always wanted to do. If you want to go to, maybe China, you want to visit, you want to travel the world, do that, right? If you feel like you want to climb the highest mountain, you do that. You feel like you want to jump into the Pacific, or you want to go snorkeling, you want to do bungee jumping, do all those crazy things before you get married, because married life means a lot of responsibilities. It's not like what you would see in fairy tales where the prince and the princess lived happily ever after. This is not what real married life is all about. It's based on responsibility, and whether you like it or not, you'll have to take up and shoulder a lot of responsibilities, and you just can't ignore it. Like when your baby is crying there, you can't just just ignore the baby and continue with your food. You can't do that. You have to feed the child, you need to change the child, you need to put the child to sleep, and you have your responsibility again at home and with your partner and all this. So I would say, before people get married, just finish your education, make sure you get a job, and then just enjoy your life for a few years and then get married. The next question here is, do you think people should get married again if their first marriage is not successful? Why not? Right? Just because you failed once in life doesn't mean you're going to fail again, because after all, we know that life is just always so confusing, and there's a lot of problems that come your way. Sometimes two people who get married might not be exactly fit for each other or good for each other, and there's no problem in separating and then getting married again. But one thing that people need to understand here is that when you do get separated from an individual, you need to give yourself a bit of time to actually adjust to situations around you, because there could be this invisible strings that are linking two people together even after separation. So you need to first cut off all those strings, all those types of attachment with each other, and then accept a new partner. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to have a new partner in your life, but you're still holding on to the old partner, and then you'll have an issue where you start comparing both of them, like, okay, she used to be like that, or this one is like this and that, and that's going to mess up again the second marriage. So it's always good to give yourself a bit of time. So when you separate from one person, give yourself time to heal, cut off all the strings that's holding you two together emotionally, and then once that is off, you can marry another individual. You'll be ready to accept another person into your life. I hope this speaking session was useful, and don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe and share. Thank you.